Welcome to my Heart of a Build series. In this series I cut out the fluff and give you only the heart of a build I use and oxygen not included. This video will cover only what's necessary so you aren't stuck watching forever and so you can best shape the design to your base. Today's heart, my regular wire power grid. I love this power grid because it mimics a heavy watt backbone without the awful decor and issues going through walls. If you don't know what a heavy watt backbone is or the benefits it provides when used with smart batteries, I'll put a link in the description to a video I have on it. I believe a heavy watt backbone is how the developers intended power grids to be made, and it should be the standard to which all other power grids are compared. So for today's setup, I have my regular wire power grid shown on the left and a heavy watt backbone power grid shown on the right. Now regular wire power grids aren't anything new. It has been known for a while that batteries and generators don't overload wires. For more information on overloading, see my video on overloading I've linked in the description. And therefore, you can use batteries to safely pass large charges between generators and consumers. I call it a flipper battery, and the premise is basically to use two power shutoffs to ensure the battery is connected to either the consumers or to the generators, but not both at the same time. The easiest way to do this is to use a smart battery to control the generator side power shutoff and a NOT gate with the same signal to control the consumer side power shutoff. However, when the battery is charging, your consumers will be without power. So for consumers that need constant power, you'll need to add another battery that is the opposite of your original smart battery. That way, one is always hooked to the generators and one is always hooked to the consumers. To ensure they change places at the exact same time, we use the same signals we did with the single battery flipper, they just go to the opposite power shutoffs. There is also currently a bug that has a slight chance to stick your power shutoff when loading into the game. So check out my video linked in the description on the topic if the bug is still around at the time you're watching this video. Where regular wire power grids do vary greatly is on the generator side. I want a design that mimics the benefits of a heavy watt backbone. Smart batteries turn generators on and off automatically, sync smart batteries so I can set which generators turn on first, the ability to place my generators wherever I want instead of a central location, no battery bank, and using a single wire. I've come across designs that can do some of these things, but not everything. So I've come up with my own. My design uses a double battery flipper with transformers, which I'll call a transformer flipper, to act as a monitor for the power grid, the same way a smart battery does in a heavy watt backbone. See, when batteries are hooked to other batteries, they charge and discharge equally. This means any batteries on the generator side of a battery flipper wouldn't push their charge into the battery flippers for your consumers. They just sit there full. So my design uses transformers to constantly move charge through the transformer flipper. Because batteries that are hooked together charge equally, when you have multiple generators, the batteries in the different transformer flippers will charge equally. Due to their flipping nature, they won't have the exact same value at the exact same time, but their fluctuating range will be the same, and that's plenty good enough for our purposes. All we need to do is use the unused automation port from our transformer flipper to control our generators. Regular wire can be used as a main power line to connect your generators, flippers, and transformer flippers together. The wires can be as long as needed, ran wherever you want cheaply, and ran through walls effortlessly, which is a big benefit over a heavy watt backbone. You can still put up to 1 kilowatt of consumers on this main power line as well, which I have conveniently used for some quick temporary sweeper and mining setups several times. The other huge benefit of this design over a heavy watt backbone is how much power it can handle. While heavy watt wire can handle up to 20 kilowatts and conductive heavy watt wire can handle up to 50 kilowatts, this power grid doesn't seem to have a kilowatt limit. I've tested it up to 200 kilowatts without issue. I've also tested consumers at 1, 2, 6, and 10 kilowatts of constant power draw on the other side of double battery flippers. Past 2 kilowatts you'll start to see brownouts, but since batteries charge equally, all you need to do is add more batteries in your flipper until the brownouts are taken care of. Even the basic small batteries will work. Just keep in mind smart batteries are better in every way except material cost and physical space. For 6 kilowatts, I found flippers made of 8 batteries to be stable, and for 10 kilowatts, I found flippers made of 12 batteries to be stable. This could vary based upon your specific setup. As far as setup goes, one transformer is fine until you approach 2 kilowatts of constant use from one double flipper battery, at which point you'll end up needing 2 transformers because a single transformer won't be able to supply the power fast enough. You'll then need to switch all your transformer flippers over to using 2 transformers, otherwise they won't all represent the same amount of charge. To best sync your smart batteries to each other, you'll want to fully charge them all at the same time. I suggest changing the sliders of the smart battery controlling your generators to 100% for both sliders and then setting them to your desired values again after all the batteries are full. When your power demands get large, aka so large I don't think most players have to worry about it, this design works better when some of your generators are running constantly. So for example, if you need 20 generators, it's best to break them up into sets of 5 or 10 so some of them are running constantly instead of all 20 turning on and off in one big burst. This helps keep your charge levels in your transformer flipper from swinging wildly and turning on your backup generators unnecessarily. Similarly, you don't want your generators all turning off at the same percentage. You want them tiered so the power over time is spread out. So like 30 to 50%, 50 to 70%, etc. As for alternatives, well, the layouts are up to you. Everything you see here is just for demonstration purposes, and they can be moved around and crammed together as you see fit, as long as the wiring remains in the same order. You don't have to use transformer flippers if you don't want to, like for steam turbines that you'd rather just let run constantly. If you wanted to use transformers to dump power into the regular wire main power grid, like from a battery bank for solar panels, that should work just fine. In my experience, I have found using a large transformer instead of the 2 small transformers is too fast to be useful, and adding additional batteries to the transformer flipper wasn't desirable either. I like to set my transformer flipper's battery to 80 to 90% and my flipper batteries to 70 to 90%, but feel free to change them to something that suits you. If you are skeptical about overloads when you first implement this system, feel free to place a wire bridge somewhere. As long as both ends are hooked into the regular wire main power line, the bridge will overload and take damage before any other regular wire segments. Now compared to a heavy watt backbone, my design is clearly larger and takes more resources. However, heavy watt wire itself takes more resources per piece of wire, and most people go to great lengths to cover up their heavy watt wire to avoid the decor penalties. So I believe that when the entire power grid is considered, the material costs aren't as different as it seems on the surface, and most people would rather allocate a little additional space at their generators for my design compared to huge swaths of space for the maintenance shafts that they've been building to hide heavy watt wire in. I've put dozens of hours into vetting this design in every way I can imagine, including running it in my most recent playthrough, and I feel it is rock solid. I won't be using heavy watt backbone anymore, that's for sure. If you liked this video, please hit the like button and get subscribed. Leave a comment down below with other topics you'd like to see covered, and if you see me on Reddit, say hello.